Hi. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, perfect. So this is just a conversation, just kind of finding out about you and your journey. So we have Tina from TikTok. That's that's what you go by, right?
It actually changed a couple months back to She Might Be Tina, but it's in like that transfer, you know what I mean? That process of like getting people used to a new name.
Right. It's kind of rebranding basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, by the way, for joining me for conversations with Kris. My question is, obviously you weren't always Tina from TikTok.
Yeah.
So where did your career start? What were you doing as a job, say maybe 5 years ago?
So 5, 10 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom. That was what I had chose. And before that, I was like a secretary doing clerical work for a friend of mine and stuff like that, waitressing, stuff like that.
So then you're a stay-at-home mom, which by the way is the hardest job ever. I think, because not only are you cleaning and picking up after kids and managing a whole household.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of work. To add to it, I had a special needs daughter. That was the reason why I ended up staying home. She had a tracheostomy, and so she was home with me all the time, and I didn't trust any at-home healthcare people to take care of her. So she was the pull to take care of her. So there was the cleaning and cooking and all that regular stay-at-home mom stuff. Plus, I became a personal nurse for my daughter too. So it was a lot at that time.
It is a lot and it's very challenging too.
hmm
So
Definitely.
so when TikTok came out, were you early, ahead of the curve, kind of right in the middle, around the pandemic? How did it work for you?
I was the cliche stay-at-home mom that got a little bit crazy during the COVID pandemic because I wasn't maybe getting the breaks that I wanted type thing. And, it's been chaos, right? Since the pandemic. And so there's been a lot to talk about. And so I guess I would say like in the middle. Um, I was one of those people that was like, oh, TikTok forever at first. And then I started using that app and became very addicted to it. And at this point, now that I've learned other platforms and stuff like that, I'm kind of more to TikTok because their algorithms are a lot more confusing and don't really make sense.
Right. And they
So
change them.
well, they all constantly change them, but TikTok is like trying to be YouTube now, and so they're like shutting down a lot of people that, worked hard on their app for a really long time. So that stinks, but it is what it is. It's just social media.
So where did you find most of your success? Was it through TikTok? And what was it that when did you start noticing like, oh wow, I'm gaining some traction here, even with the algorithm and everything?
So this is super embarrassing. Around the time when everything was happening with George Floyd, um, that was when I had noticed the most extreme growth because I wasn't censoring myself about what I was saying, and I was asking questions that I felt were really important for me and my development as a human because I was raised in Wyoming, and the family that I was raised with was very, very conservative Christian, but also had a lot of hate towards everybody, everybody. And it didn't matter what you were, they didn't like something about you, right? So I started asking a lot of questions, and one of which I still have the video up because it was the first one that I felt was like went viral, I guess. And I still have it up, but I asked a question when I have a really large German Shepherd that I took him on a walk and or a jog, and I got behind this black man and he was walking, but I was running. And I know my dog is scary. Most men are like, don't want to come near me. And I asked the question, like, what would you do in that situation? Like, I don't want him to be worried about me, but I also didn't want to be worried about him. And I posted that question. And like all social media platforms, there was really, really negative, but there was a lot of good conversation in the comment section of that video. And I, took those comments and I talked to people, and I just really rapidly from that video gained, knowledge and perspective from these other groups of people. And I got really passionate about it. It's so interesting to meet other people and see what their perspectives are and have those conversations. And when I was actively working on that side of TikTok, working with, my more politically based content creators, fellow creators. I was growing a lot, but it just got to be so much negative, right?
Mhm.
So I had this burst, this explosion of people from being, politically polarizing, because here I am, a little white girl who is, I was raised to be conservative Christian, and now I'm, yelling liberal things, not to mention, the pandemic was really crucial for my family because my daughter had respiratory stuff going on. So I was very involved in all of this political discussion that I really didn't have any business speaking on, but it was important to me. And so I was getting a lot of disliked, like people disliked me and some people liked me. Um, and it kind of took off from there. And then after a while, I realized that there was a need for the Creepy Guy series. I don't know how much you've dug through my stuff, but the Creepy Guy series came next, and that one's hung around for a while. But then there's, the hot girl stuff. Just depends on what I'm doing that day, right? Like,
Right.
depends on what flows. I've been doing a lot of workouts now because I make sure and hit the gym every day, and it just kind of changes with time, I feel like.
Well, and with the gym, with the working out and everything, that's really good, obviously, not only for your health, but for your mental health
Mhm.
as well. So that's good. So, okay, let's talk about the hot girl phase. So, is that where you transitioned into OnlyFans? And how did
So
that work?
yeah. Well, it's really funny because the OnlyFans came in because people asked for it. People were
Yeah.
like, "When are you gonna start an OnlyFans?" And I was like, "I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it forever." And my husband finally was like, I don't care, right?
Right.
Like, make that money kind of thing. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't care." And so I was like, "Okay, well, I'll launch an OnlyFans. Why not?" I was at, I don't know, when I first launched, I was at about 100,000 followers, and it was fine. I actually left the platform for over a year. I left because I wasn't tolerating how the men were speaking. That's what caused the Creepy Guy series.
Mhm.
I wasn't tolerating those interactions. I wasn't okay, and it was really crushing me mentally having these men be so derogatory and crappy to me on that page,
Right.
because there was a lot of it. And I was like, how am I going to find the right people to come into that place for me?
Mhm.
And the Creepy Guy series was that too, because a lot of men won't subscribe to me because they're like, oh, well, she hates men because of her Creepy Guy series. When in reality, I'm like, no, 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 come in, let me teach you something. Let me teach you how to be appropriate and respectful and approach a woman from my version of respect, right? Because
Right.
as a woman, we all have different perspectives, and women and men. But yeah, it's ever evolving. But yes, OnlyFans was because of, one day you post a thirst trap and you're like, oh, wait, you think I'm hot? Especially because I was in that phase of motherhood where I didn't feel hot anymore. I was, at home. I had baby vomit on me. I had, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
there's
I
no way
know.
to,
I've been there.
yeah, there's no way to be cute and hot anymore. And then all of a sudden, I think I did like a transition video or some kind of thirst trap, and it took off. And people were like, "Where's the OnlyFans link? How do we?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess we'll do this." And like I said, the guys were derogatory, shut it down, and then I opened it back up after I started doing the creepy guy stuff because several people were. Well, my direct messages are still out of control, but as you can tell, I think it was like several weeks before I even saw your message. Um, but it's just ever evolving. I can't remember where I was going. I lost my train of thought. I can't remember.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this, because a lot of people who aren't aware of OnlyFans, like how it works. I mean, everyone's
Mhm.
aware of OnlyFans, but how does it work? What's it like? Maybe there's someone that's like, I kind of have a similar story. I've kind of been thinking about doing that, but I don't know, like, I don't want to go too far. I don't want to do this. How did it work for you? What do you think? You kind of mentioned the negative on it, but if you were to go back and tell yourself, "Hey, by the way, before you do this, here's the things you need to know." What would you say to someone?
Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Know exactly what you expect of your customer just as much as what your customer expects of you. Um, and don't be afraid to know your value. That was a big thing for me, and still I see so many of my friends in the industry. I feel like nickel and diming themselves when they deserve so much more than, what they're being given, and I'm just like, "No, no, 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 like, stop, like, you get to decide, don't let them decide.
Right.
You get to decide." It's the difference in, I'm not in the customer service industry. I have ample amount of people wanting to subscribe, and I expect to be treated as the product that is benefiting you, and you're not gonna mistreat me. Like, and I think that is something a lot of girls will, sacrifice in the beginning. I know I did, and I know a lot of women that I talk to are like, "I wish I would have started and been like, no, this is my value. This is what I expect from you, and that's the end of it. And if you don't like it, there's thousands of other women out there. Go get them." You know what I
Right.
mean? And once I started taking it from that perspective is when my stuff really started to take off, like, my OnlyFans side of things started taking off.
And you said when you shut it down, it was kind of doing a number on your mental health. Was it that you felt stress? Was it like you were starting to question yourself or
Yeah, so I don't do, like, sexually explicit. I don't do anything with anyone, or I should say I haven't done anything with anybody else for everybody to see, you know what I mean? So a lot of men would come in and be like, "I paid $25 and I don't even get to see your boobs on the main screen." And I'm like, you this is this on my welcome message, on my bio and everything, I am very upfront with, this is how you get uncensored access to me, but uncensored means, like, you get to be able to talk to me,
right,
not I'm giving my body freely for you for $20. Like, that's not what's happening here. I take it as, "Oh, you wanna come, you wanna have conversations with me, you wanna get to know me." That's what my OnlyFans is about. And yes, there is the added bonus that if you stick around and I enjoy your company, you might get that as well.
right,
But I treat it a lot more like a relationship rather than, you know, slinging my selfies. You know what
right.
I mean?
Now, how and you mentioned your husband is totally for it. Now, has there ever been a time where he is like, maybe not?
As you've noticed, I talk a lot, so he's like, "No." He's like, "Please," because it keeps me from talking his ear off all the time when I'm,
Right.
entertaining fans.
He's like, yeah,
So
go
it's
have a
beneficial.
conversation with someone else.
Yeah, he's like, "Please stop talking to me."
Yes. Now, have you seen has there been any negative feedback as far as your kids are concerned? Because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people can be hateful and ugly and judgy. So, and coming from, as you mentioned, you came from a very conservative background. Now it's almost like you went total different
Right.
direction, which I mean, I'm a strong believer in people got to do themselves. They have to do what's best
Great.
for them. Um, but with that being said, have you seen like, has there been whispers or anything from your kids' teachers or whatever?
But there's always not really their teachers now. Nobody knows, well, nobody has made it aware that they know that I'm an OnlyFans creator in my like immediate realm, other than like family members, which know because I'm pretty open about it. I don't, I'm like, this is just what I do. It's just me, right? Um, but at the school that I'm at, there's been, or not currently at, but they're old school. There was a lot of issue with the way I dress and how I carry myself and things like that. And I I just ignore it. But yeah, there's always those whispers, those people that are like, how can you wear that? But I go from the perspective of I'm teaching my daughter how to be sexy and still be respected. And I am teaching my son how to value a woman, even if she's in a scantily clad outfit.
Right.
Because their father respects me no matter how I'm dressed, and he and I expect that of all other men in my realm. And my son witnesses me correct those people, and so does my daughter, and I think that'll, benefit both of them in the long run.
So also, I think a question a lot of people would ask without getting into specifics is, can you make like a real living? And when I mean real living, I mean, obviously there's no healthcare benefits, but you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
would a regular job.
I am retiring my husband. I am in the process of my husband quitting his job right now, and he's in one of the best trade industries in the country. And I am retiring him so that he can be at home and be the stay-at-home dad now off of my OnlyFans creation. And it's not just OnlyFans, it's OnlyFans Fansly, all of the subscription-based platforms, as well as some other work I do on the side. But yeah, there's more than enough money to be made online if you're willing to do the work to figure out how to do it.
So someone subscribes to your page, whichever platform it's on. What does
Mhm.
someone, what is the, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say benefit because that sounds bad, but what do they get as a customer?
Yeah, so they get the chance to actually have conversations with me. I do something I've recently implemented. I only respond via video message unless I, know you, or like I'm, doing something that I can't video myself talking to you, or if my kids are in the room or whatever, right? So I respond using my face to make it more of a personal interaction. Um, and it's all about just like getting to know the people. And what I found, and it's really amazing, is the men that come to my page that stay, which a lot of them have, and I'm always shocked by that. But it's about that, about having that conversation with a woman that they normally wouldn't get to have, especially in the stance of like this woman's just being kind to them, and they don't get that a lot. And it breaks my heart how often I hear that from these men, because a lot of these men are just really sweet guys. Even the ones that might come off nasty at first, I correct them, and most of the time, they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's a real person." First of all, she's actually running this herself because she just responded to me with her face and her speaking. But also, like, it humanizes me. It makes them be more respectful because it is me.
Right.
And I think that's, lacking in a lot of OnlyFans creators hire a person and are like, get, and I was at that point at one point. I'm like, I want to hire someone to do this. I don't want to do this. But a really good friend of mine actually recently got out of OnlyFans because the management company just wasn't doing things the way she wanted it ran. And a lot of these men want that personal experience. They want to talk to a beautiful woman that like they would never get to talk to otherwise. You know what I mean?
Right. So 5 years from now, where do you want to be? Or what do you want to be doing?
I want to be traveling all the time with my whole family, with like a nanny in tow to take my kids whenever I need them to, so my husband can hang out with me and maybe be a cameraman if I can convince him. Um, and living in Costa Rica, away from all the chaos of the US. Um, that's what I picture.
So that's your goal, one of your
Yep.
goals.
Yeah,
So
one of them.
bef- before we wrap up, and by the way, this has been really fascinating because most of my interviews are usually country artists or actors. So it's really interesting to see a different type of content creator and find out, kind of how your life started, how you fell into it, what you found worked, what you found didn't work, maybe. Where can everyone find you?
Oh, I'm everywhere. TikTok is my biggest platform. Instagram has rapidly become a close second here in the last few months. I'm on Twitter. I basically word vomit all over Twitter whenever I have a free moment. I'm also, I don't know if you saw this, I'm slightly obsessed with Elon Musk, just to throw that out there in case he hears this. Um, uh, let's see, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on Twitch. I try to stream at least once a week over the weekend, playing Fortnite or something. I'm on YouTube. I'm everywhere. At She Might Be Tina everywhere. So
Awesome. I think that's it. Thanks for taking the time. It sounds like you're super busy all the time. Like, how many hours do you spend talking to everyone a day?
I've been doing less live videos. I've been trying to get into real estate in these last couple months, but I'm kind of falling out of it and more of the mindset of, I'm pursuing other things at this point, trying to get moved and whatnot, and retiring my husband. So I don't have that much time to dedicate to real estate, and it's turned out that there's a lot of work that goes on
It's a
with
lot.
it. So the whole lot. I saw that you're a realtor also.
Yes, it's a
On your
lot of
page.
work. It's not
Yeah.
only a lot of work. That's not what my main career is, but not only is it a lot of work, but it takes a good 5 years before you build up a clientele. Now, that's unless you just go, excuse the expression, but balls to the wall and just go after. But you got to think of how many realtors are out there, and it does take a while.
Yes. Yeah, it
But it's
does
still
seem to.
fun. If you like houses, it's fun.
Yeah, I love going. I tell my broker all the time, I'm like, I just got my license so I could come check out all of these beach properties
Yes.
that I will one day buy myself.
Yeah, exactly. And then rent them all out. Make money that
Right.
way. Well, thank you
Exactly.
for taking the time. It was great to get to know more about you and all of your adventures. And it sounds like you've got it pretty buttoned up and a lot of fun things in the works.
Yes. Yes. There's always something.
Awesome. Well, have a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, bye.